so. So Bridges Out of Poverty is about building relationships to empower individuals. So some of the reasons individuals are experiencing poverty are struggling is because they need more social capital. And social capital is really about relationships. Improving outcomes throughout all of our organizations, influencing and improving systems at community and policy level, and law, legislative level, right? Judith? Yes. Okay, so we are going to, part of our initiative this year is to train a minimum of 40 people from all sectors to become certified Bridges trainers. Okay, so I want each of you to consider what that is, and I'll tell you a little bit more about what it means. But we want at least 40 people, and the reason we want 40 people is because the organization that does this work, AHA Process, does twice a year a conference, a 2-3-day conference, in which they train people to become trainers, right, and to become certified. They do it twice a year. For us to send people there, it's going to cost us, by the time we pay for all of the fees and the travel, $1,500, $1,800 per person.
Oh my God.
Yes, that's a lot of money, right? Maybe it's all relative. Yeah, it's all relative, right? But what we can do is, if we have 40 people, and we need more than 40 people in this community anyway to do this work. But if we have 40 people, we can bring the conference to us. We can actually have someone come here and tailor the program so that we're training people in East Texas.
That will trim that number down quite a bit too.
Absolutely. The expenses are cut tremendously. All we'll have to pay for is for one individual to come from AHA Process, from Bridges Out of Poverty, and to be here for 2.5 days or 3 days. So the expenses are cut tremendously by doing it that way.
Could you give us an idea of what this Bridges Out of Poverty?
Yes, I can.
Is there a webinar where you can see any of it?
All the website.
Huh?
There's an entire website. There are lots and lots of videos. You can actually even go to YouTube and just look at Bridges Out of Poverty, and you'll find a whole series of videos that tell you about it. There are 3 main Bridges workshops, and this is in order for us to educate our community in general, our general community across all sectors, in order for us to educate them on what are the issues of poverty, so that they can begin to comprehend that it's not that somebody did something wrong and they're not worthy of our time and effort, right? But a lot of people still think that. A lot of people still think if you just work harder, you can get out of poverty. And those of us who are in this field understand that that's not the case, that it takes so much more than that. It takes so much more than that. So part of what we need to do as advocates for these individuals is to teach our community about poverty, so that they begin to understand the issues of poverty. And once they begin to understand the issues of poverty, there's compassion. There's understanding, there's compassion, and with that comes action. So the ways in which they engage with people will change. The ways in which they run programs, businesses, schools will change with the awareness and the understanding. And so that's why we need these 40 people. Because we want them all over town having workshops in their place of work, in their communities with their neighbors, in their place of worship, and sharing this information, literally spreading this knowledge across the community. So there are several different types of workshops. Strategies for professionals and communities. That's a very high view of core concepts. Applying Bridges concepts. So once you have those concepts, how do you apply them? And it can be applied in any realm, in any sector. So it helps them to figure out how to work more effectively with individuals from poverty. And our focus has been on employment, on focusing on employers. That's what our focus has been locally. And we're still getting started. But we also have to work with educators and with healthcare providers and with transportation providers and with judges and attorneys and store owners, and all of us need to understand a little bit better what the issues are. And then Bridges to Sustainable Communities is helping big community audiences develop a more comprehensive approach. That's what we're doing. That's exactly what we're doing. So you can get all these parts and pieces, but as the East Texas Human Needs Network, what we have taken on as a responsibility is to help the community understand and to put together a comprehensive process of engaging everyone. And we start with those 40 people. Okay, that's where it starts. And then in addition to those 3 workshops, there are also very, very specific workshops for education, for business, for health, and for criminal justice that help those individuals through the same AHA process, through the same Bridges Out of Poverty, understand how to apply those principles in the field of education, in running a business, in providing health care services, and even in the criminal justice system. So all of that is part of Bridges. It's very, very comprehensive. It is a tool for us to use. It is not something that you follow step by step exactly the way they've provided it, because it's a framework. It's something that we apply based on our needs and our strengths. So that's how that works. They're very field-specific workshops as well. We want champions. Once we begin sharing this knowledge, there are people that are more influential than others, right? You give somebody's name, nobody knows who they are. You give somebody else's name, everybody knows who they are. The everybody knows who they are need to become our champions. We need to become a community where Bridges Out of Poverty becomes common language. And we do it by having these champions. A Getting Ahead team. All of the work that I've just described is in helping those that are not living in poverty understand the issues of poverty and perhaps adjust the way in which we interact with people experiencing poverty to account for any challenges or barriers that they may be facing. But what about the people who are living in poverty? How do we help them? This is the other side of the coin. This is Getting Ahead, the Getting Ahead Network. And Andrea Horton has been operating a Getting Ahead Network for a year now?
A little over a year.
And has had several classes with several graduates of those classes. And it's developing skills to understand how the culture is different. The economic classes have different cultures. And the way in which we operate in middle class is very different from the way in which we operate in people of low income and people of wealth. And simply understanding those concepts and those differences will help us get further ahead. So that's what this is, Getting Ahead. And we want to do the same thing. For Getting Ahead, we want to train 40 people. 40 people to become certified trainers. We're going to enlist help from all of the people that have learned about Bridges. So Bridges is number 1. If we prepare all of these individuals to come into the community with this new knowledge, they're going to do better, but they're going to do very, very, very well if they're walking into a place where the people understand Bridges, right? So we have to prepare the places that they're stepping into before we train them. Because if we train them and we send them somewhere and those people don't understand Bridges and they're not going to make any modifications, it's going to crush them, right? It's going to make them feel like they've learned all of this for what? Nobody cares. So we need people to care first, and then we prepare them to go out there and meet those individuals. This is a very, very tentative timeline. That's what tentative is in really light gray. That's my version of a pencil instead of a pen. So we need to build Bridges teams, March and April. We need to then begin hosting all of those workshops that I showed you, 1, 2, and 3. Then the very field-specific workshops. These are multiple going on at this, all over at the same time with the 40 people that we've trained. Field-specific workshops. Then we'll begin the Getting Ahead team. That training will take place sometime in the middle of the year, June. We want 40 people to go through this training. And then they'll start having those workshops. And then all of this will continue to overlap for at least 2 years. We'll continue to have all of this taking place sporadically. Every month there'll be Bridges workshops specific to different fields, Getting Ahead Network workshops. All of those things will continue to take place in our community until we feel like we can make a difference. There's not enough time for me to tell you enough about Bridges for you to be convinced that you should be a Bridges certified trainer. I can't do that today. But what I can tell you is that Andrea is going to be showing people enough about Bridges to let you know, let you decide if it's the right thing for you to do. If if it's the right thing for you to do. So she's hosting a part A and a part B. This is one class, but it's being held on 2 separate days. This is the first half of the class, January 27th from 8 to 11:30 for the overview of all of the concepts, and then the following day, same time, for using the strategy to affect change. So Andrea is teaching that class. We will send this out to you just like we do our mass emails so that you can register to attend these classes. I'm also going to pass out right now a form for those of you who are interested in learning more. This is not, you're not making a commitment to go through the training to become a certified trainer. But if you really want to know more about it, I want you to fill out this form and put a check mark under bridges or a check mark under getting ahead, whichever one of the two that you want to do, or both, if you have lots and lots of energy. And then the introduction to getting ahead will be also held by Andrea, and it'll be next month. So I'm going to give one of these sheets to each of the tables for those of you who are interested in learning more to please fill this out. Yes, sir. Oh, we will send that out. It's going to be at Green Acres Baptist Church. The class will be at Green Acres Baptist Church.
Tuesday and Wednesday.
Okay, while those forms are going around, we're going to go ahead and continue. The point-in-time homeless survey that I referred to earlier in our meeting, the one in which we set up teams and we actually go out in Smith County and we canvass the streets, we go into shelters, we go into soup kitchens, and we interview people who are experiencing homelessness. That's what we do. And it's that data that we collect that then enables us to provide the services that are needed in our community. So in order for us to do this point-in-time homeless survey, which we've done for many, many years, we need about 60 people trained to do it. And every year we have at least 60, sometimes more. This year, the point of time in which we sent out the information, right after the holidays, when school starts, most of our volunteers are TJC and UT Tyler students. And they're just now starting school. There's only 10 days between starting school and the actual day of the survey. So I have less volunteers registered right now than I've ever had at this point in time. And I'm not panicking or anything. But I'd like for you to consider doing it. It is a great experience, and we provide training. So I want you to please consider doing it. You can go to our website, and on the home page of our website, you will find a little button that says point in time or volunteer for survey, volunteer for homeless survey. I'd like for you to consider doing that. It is on Thursday the 22nd. If you've not done this work before, you will be in the evening team from 4 until 8. You will not be in the noon team. That'll be people who have done the work before. But from 4 until 8 o'clock. Some of you here have conducted the point-in-time homeless survey in the past. How many of you have done it? Good. It's a good number. If any of you had to describe what that first experience was like, what would you say? Eye-opening. Eye-opening? Yeah. What else?
Informative.
Very informative.
It was also heartbreaking, to see some of the conditions that people live.
Yeah, heartbreaking. Yeah. And how many of them are children? Many of them are children. So, based on the data we've collected over the last few years, there's an estimated 600 people on any given night in Smith County experiencing homelessness. 600 people. Really? Really. And close to 1,000 experiencing homelessness in the course of a year, moving in and out of homelessness. Homelessness is not permanent. For most people, it is not permanent. It's actually for a very small percentage that are chronically homeless. For most people, it's moving in and out of homelessness. Going to a shelter for 2 or 3 months, or couch surfing, right? Going from one home to another, but not having your own place. So homelessness is can be very transient, very temporary for many, many people. But nevertheless, the damage that occurs in that period of time is tremendous, especially for children. Especially for children. The ones that don't have their own room, their own pillow, their own toy, it's very, very difficult for them. So the more work we do to address these needs, the better everything will be, especially those little ones. Anyone else want to talk about the survey, the Plan Time Homeless Survey?
I have a quick question.
Yeah.
So this would be my first time participating. When would I be trained?
At 4 o'clock.
Okay.
You would be trained when you come. We used to do trainings the day before, but the forms and the tools that we use and the questions that we ask now are very different and much easier than they were just a few years ago. And so now we can do it on the same day as we go out. The teams that go out will be developed based on our knowledge of where people are living on the streets. We actually we'll have a map with all of the places actually identified, and we have different street teams that go to different locations. All the street teams have a team leader that has done this work before and is experienced, and many of the street teams will actually have a police escort, depending on the area that they're going into. Yes, Bob?
Will you be geotagging or geolocating any of these groups for, the results of the survey? You could do photos with faces blurred out that would really convey the message. And also, if people come late, they could find out where a group is by looking at your map.
Groups are very controlled. I get to tell them when they leave, and I get to tell them when they have to come back. Everybody gets to sign out, everybody gets to sign in, and we don't do geolocation because it wouldn't be safe for those individuals that are experiencing homelessness. They are often victimized, and although we may be doing it for all the right reasons, you never know who's going to get a hold of the data. So we need to be very protective of those we encounter on the streets. We're actually there to protect them. Sometimes we don't feel safe around them. Always trust your gut. Always trust your gut. But most of the time, you're in good hands. They'll take care of you. If something bad happens, they will take care of you. So it's a different world. Yes?
I'll tell you a little bit about my experience with the Point in Time. I'm not sure what exactly each of you do in your jobs, but it's really easy to get lost in data and paperwork and numbers. And this gives you an opportunity to have close face-to-face contact with somebody and to give a voice to someone who wouldn't otherwise have one. And it really is important to me to annually do that because I get to reconnect with those people who these programs touch directly that I may not see because I'm looking at numbers and paperwork. But it gives me a chance to remember why it is that I do what I do.
Thanks for sharing that. Yes, it is a great experience. Difficult, but great. Time for announcements. Let me start by saying, though, if you have an event, an activity, a training, a program starting, something that you want everyone in the Human Needs Network membership, people who we communicate with through social media to know about, don't send me an email. Because I get too many emails and it may get lost and I'll put it out there too late. Go to the website and go to the information sharing link. Information sharing on our website and give me all of those details. Because I do not overlook those. I get reports. I pull reports from our website to see what has been submitted. So please, if you have something really important taking place, I actually missed putting out the transportation town hall meetings that occurred last week, those 2 meetings. I didn't send that information out because it got lost in all of my other email messages. And had I known, I would have sent it out to everyone. So that's just an example. If you really want everyone to know, please go to the website and use this form to let me know. Okay? So, but for now, let's go ahead and do any updates that you might have from your agencies that you feel the rest of us need to know about. At this table, any updates?
You go ahead. I just want to remind everyone about the BASH program. I brought some handouts that everyone can pass around at their.
And when's it open again, Candace?
Well, the bash is ongoing. These were the 25 vouchers that we were awarded to help with homeless veterans. I think you're talking about the housing list. It opened and closed already. So we already have our 500 that are active right now on the list. So that's closed. But this is the bash program, and we currently have about 4 leased up. So we want to get that additional 21 leased up. So if you don't mind posting this anywhere at your organization, and the second page is just, if they come in and they want to give us their name, phone number, or an alternate phone number somewhere they go often if they don't have a phone, and send it over to this email address that is on the front, we would appreciate it. If you have any additional questions, you can ask me after.
Who needs another form? Okay, okay, this is Candace from City of Tyler. In case you guys didn't catch the name. No, that's okay. I think it's Laura. Okay, Laura? Hi, everybody. I'm Laura Mattice with the East Texas Center for Independent Living. And I just want to announce that we're going to be holding on March 7th in affiliation with East Texas Disability Services Network, a Disability Expo and Walk and Roll event on March 7th. That's coming up pretty quick, and we'll make sure we get it on there.
Good.
And it's going to be, the expo is going to be a variety of disability service organizations, actually at the Robert E. Lee Gym, and also the walk and roll will be at the Robert E. Lee track, as well as the Rose Broken Trail. And I want to thank Scott for all his help on that event too. And I'm going to just pass a couple of these out to those interested in contacting me if you have interest in them. Thank you. Thank you. Any other updates at this table? Melody?
Rural East Texas doing its first point-in-time survey, and we already have a committee going, have a homeless shelter, only one in rural East Texas.
That's wonderful.
We're gonna do it. We're gonna do it.
Yellow line.
Oh, yeah.
It's gonna happen.
We're gonna take all the money that Tyler has.
That's wonderful, Melody.
Open.
Do we have any updates at this table? Yes.
UT Health Northeast, we are having 2 classes. February is American Heart Month. We have a class starting February the 3rd, running for 6 weeks out at the hospital, from 12:30 to 1:30, heart health class, and then one starting February the 5th for 6 weeks at the Tyler Library. And we'll email you the flyers, so they'll both be on the website.
That's great.
And they're free to the public. You do not have to be a... We'll send it to the
You'll
link.
submit it.
Yes. But they're both free. You can come to the hospital or the library. You do not have to be a patient of UT, and it is free of charge to the public.
That's wonderful. Thank you. Thank you. Other updates at this table?
Yes, Andrea.
Very quickly, just to add to what Christina said, in addition to the 2-day, that's really 2 half-day, we're also open to coming, or I'm also open to coming and training any of your staff that you might feel like they need to have a common language in understanding poverty, and I would be more than happy to talk to you about that. And also, if you have clients or people that you work with who would be a good advocate for speaking up about poverty and what they're experiencing, we're still accepting applications for our next Getting Ahead class. The date to be determined, but I have applications on the Green Acres website and tell you how to get them. We'd love to have a good center for students.
That'd be great.
We can really strongly speak about the economic conditions here in Tyler so that we can then use that in our trainings.
Thank you. Other updates at this table? No? Okay, back here. Program updates, anybody? Yes, sir.
We believe we're having a job fair February 13th from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. at Cornerstone.
At Cornerstone from 10 to 4, February 13th, at a job fair.
We have a job fair.
Okay, wonderful.
We also have a men's conference. It's just come no week, just come all the men and give them some knowledge. So
Okay, tell us about that conference.
We're going to be